Hi, I'm Buzzy the Knowledge Bug. Are you ready to explore the jungle? There are parts of 3 jungles here, all from different parts of the world. The Amazon area includes the jungles of South and Central America. It holds many neat things, like toucans and monkeys and even blue frogs. The African area has elephants and electric catfish and chameleons. In the Asian area, there are dragons and spitting fish, and even a plant that eats bugs. Why, there are just hundreds of things to see and do. So what are we waiting for? Let's go! That bridge is the only man-made thing you'll find in this jungle. Wow! Look at the size of those lily pads! It sure would be fun to sit on those. That Peepa toad is one flat animal. That trapdoor spider just waits for his meal to stroll by. It's the original home delivery. The claws on that anteater can really tear through the dirt. Either my eyes are going bad, or that's a Potu sitting on that log. Without wild tomatoes like those, we wouldn't be able to eat BLTs. Capybara. Most rodents, such as mice and rats, are pretty small. A capybara is also a rodent, but it can be as large as a big pig. In fact, capybaras are the biggest rodents in the world. Families of capybara can be found near rivers, where they eat the plants that grow along the riverbank. They are good swimmers and often hide underwater to get away from nearby ocelots or other animals. Once in the water, though, the capybara must watch out for caiman and piranha. This small cat is often seen climbing through the understory trees. Their gold-colored fur has spots and stripes, which make them hard to see in the shadowy branches. Ocelots are excellent climbers, but prefer to hunt on the jungle floor. Usually they hunt at night, preferring to sleep in the daytime. When they find a meal, they crouch down, slowly sneak up on it, and then attack, just like a pet cat might do. What is now a common salad fruit began life as a rare jungle plant. Jungle tomato plants look a lot like the plants grown in gardens, with small yellow flowers and green spiky leaves. Tomatoes grown today can weigh up to 3 pounds, with the world's biggest tomato weighing in at 7 pounds. Although most tomatoes are red, they can also be yellow or orange. At one time, people thought tomatoes were poison and were afraid to eat them. Today, people all over the world eat tomatoes in salads, sauces, and soups. A bridge is a man-made path to get across a river, hole, or a gap between two trees. The first bridges were simply big trees lying across a river, with one end of the tree touching each riverbank. Today, most bridges are made of stone and metal, so they won't break. In the jungle, rope bridges are used in trees because rope is much easier to carry up the tree than stone or metal. Bridges between canopy trees let naturalists move around the canopy as they study the animals found there. Anacondas and pythons are the world's largest snakes. Anacondas can grow as long and thick as a telephone pole. These reptiles spend most of their lives in the river, floating just under the surface. Their eyes and nose grow high on their head, so the rest of their body can hide underwater as they sneak up on food. Wrapping their long body around a victim, anacondas squeeze it to death and then swallow it down in one big gulp. Anacondas will usually eat small animals such as birds, fish, and lizards. Some anacondas are so big that they can even swallow a whole caiman. After a big meal, they may not be hungry again for several months. It's easy to spot this long-legged bird as it wades in the water. The ibis can't see the river bottom very well, so it searches along the muddy bottom with its long beak. Its curved beak can easily pick bugs, crabs, fish, and clams out of the mud. Scarlet ibises hide their rough twig nests in the tall grasses, and each parent takes a turn sitting on the eggs. Flying is not what these odd-looking birds do best. They can barely fly, and when they do manage to fly, they usually end with a crash landing. However, all Hoatzins are first-class swimmers. Hoatzins build their nests over water as a way of protecting their young. Baby Hoatzins use a sharp claw on each wing to crawl out of their nest and dive into the river at the first sign of danger. When they feel safe, the babies use their claws to climb back up the tree to their nest. The claws vanish when they are 3 months old. Both baby and adult Hoatzins will only eat leaves. The leaves stay in their belly for 2 days and often give off a really bad smell. So Hoatzins are also known as the stink bird. Giant. A child can easily sit on this plant's pad, which can grow as wide as a king-size bed. The pad has tubes filled with air on the back that help keep it afloat. Under the lily pad, a long stem goes down to the lily's roots on the river bottom. The lily also grows a flower that smells a little like pineapple, attracting certain beetles. The flower then closes with the beetle inside and stays shut for 1 whole day. When it opens again, the beetle is covered with the lily's pollen dust and flies away. The pollen dust will eventually be rubbed off and make new giant water lilies. Like monkeys and apes, tarsiers are primates. Tarsiers are only about the size of a squirrel, but they have large saucer-shaped eyes and big ears. The oversized eyes and ears help tarsiers see and hear at night when they hunt for food. Although they live in the understory, tarsiers sit close to the jungle floor so they can jump down on bugs and reptiles that pass below. They catch food with their sharp teeth, then quickly jump back into the safety of the tree branches to eat their meal. When tarsiers go hunting, baby tarsiers come along by clinging to their mother's fur. Legends say that these fish will gobble up everything in the river, but they're not that terrible. Most piranhas eat sick or hurt animals. Some only eat tiny bits of fins or tails on other fish, which then grow back. And the pacu only eats fruit. Piranhas do have sharp teeth, but they're very tiny teeth, and each can only take tiny bites. But just because they can't gobble their food, this doesn't mean that piranhas are harmless. Large groups of piranhas have been known to eat a cow in minutes. These flat fish have bulging bellies, making their body shape look sort of like a hatchet or small axe. Their eyes are close to the top of their body, so they can see bugs flying above the water. When they see one, they jump right out of the water to catch it. Their fins act like wings to help them almost fly just above the water. If they have to, they can fly as far as 16 feet away to escape from an enemy. While it may look like a square pancake with legs, the pipa really is a toad. Its skin and flat body blend in with the river bottom so well, fish never see it. When a fish swims near, the pipa opens its wide mouth and sucks them right inside. The female pipa toad carries her eggs on her back to keep them safe. Once she lays the eggs, the male pipa pushes the eggs onto her soft, sticky back. Her skin covers the eggs, making a little pocket around each egg. When ready, the babies pop out of the pockets and swim away. The graceful motion of the stingray's fins looks a lot like a bird flapping its wings. Their flat bodies, fin to fin, can be wider than a car. Stingrays gobble down small crabs and other shellfish, smashing the shells with their blunt teeth. Stingrays like to cover themselves in the sand and rest at the bottom of the river. But the capybara or jaguar that steps on them by mistake will be limping for days from the stingray's poisonous tail. These fish will actually jump out of the water to get a meal. Arowanas swim just below the surface of the river, so they can watch for flying bugs. Their big eyes are perfect for watching bugs both in and above the water, and their big mouths ensure the bug gets gobbled up. And if a bug should fall into the river, the arowana is quick to grab an easy meal. But the arowana uses its mouth for more than just eating. The father arowana can also protect the babies by holding them in his mouth. The babies do come out to eat, but quickly swim back into the father's mouth if danger is near. Named after the naturalist who discovered them, Darwin frogs have a good way to protect themselves. Their skin looks like a leaf, so animals that eat frogs will hopefully ignore them. The male Darwin frog also has an odd way of raising its babies. When the babies come out of the eggs, the male scoops them up into his mouth. The babies go into the frog's large vocal sacs, though, instead of his stomach. This stops the frog from making much sound, but not from eating a good meal of bugs. When the babies are ready, the male frog opens his mouth and they swim off into the river. These fish are a type of piranha that only eat fruit and plants. To get fruit, they will wait under trees until the ripe fruit drops into the river. Pacu are slow swimmers compared to other piranha, maybe because pacu do not have to chase their dinner. Go ahead and type in your name, and I, Buzzy the Knowledge Bug, will keep track of your score as we play. Peccaries can be found walking slowly along the jungle floor. Peccaries may look like pigs, but they're an entirely different kind of animal. Peccaries move so slow because they're sniffing out roots, seeds, young plants, and other things to eat. But when enemies come near, they can run away surprisingly fast. If they can't run away, they make their stiff back hair stand straight up to look bigger, and they show their sharp teeth. Even a jaguar thinks twice about attacking a mad peccary. Pineapples are one type of bromeliad. Although they are now grown in many different places, this sweet, juicy fruit first came from the Amazon jungle. Its rough, thorny skin keeps it from being eaten by animals that like its taste. Bromeliads are plants with a special way to water themselves. Bromeliad leaves form a bowl to catch the rainwater as it falls. Large bromeliads can hold as much as a whole bathtub of water in their leaves. Some bromeliads are epiphytes, growing in the canopy trees. Wakaris drink from them. Birds nest in them, and some frog babies grow up in them. There is even a crab that only lives in bromeliad bowls. One type of ground bromeliad even provides fruit for people, the pineapple. Epiphytes. Epiphytes are plants that grow high up on tree branches in almost every jungle. They are nicknamed air plants because their roots are mostly in the air instead of in the ground like most plants. Epiphyte roots grow on tiny bits of dirt, old leaves, and fungus on the tree branches. The only water they get is rain, so most epiphytes have leaves that trap the rainwater. One type of epiphyte, the bromeliads, can hold a small pool of water with their leaves. Many animals in the canopy and understory use the epiphytes as their source of food and water. Funguses are in a class by themselves because they are not animals and not plants. Molds found growing on bread, mildew growing in the bathroom, and mushrooms are all different types of fungus. Funguses cannot make their own food, so they grow on plants and animals to get food. Funguses grow best in warm, humid areas and are very common in jungles. Many types of fungus are useful, slowly changing the dead plants and animals that they live on into soil. Some funguses are bad because plants get sick when the fungus grows on them, or animals get sick when they eat the fungus. Naturalists know of more than 100,000 types of funguses, but at least twice as many types are still unknown. A naturalist is a person who learns about nature by watching plants and animals. Naturalists learn the most by watching how plants and animals live while in their real homes. In places that are hard to get to, like the jungle canopy, they make bridges between the trees. One thing naturalists learned is that the tropical periwinkle can make some sick people better. Naturalists believe that in just one jungle there are still over 10,000 unknown plants and animals. Perhaps some of those unknown plants or animals can help people too. This is more than just a pretty plant with pink flowers. It turns out that this jungle flower can be made into medicine that helps some people sick with cancer get better. But very few periwinkles still grow in the wild, so people are trying to protect them. It would have been sad if the periwinkle had been destroyed before people realized that it was so useful. The periwinkle is just one of the jungle plants that are made into medicine. Very little is known about most jungle plants, so naturalists study them hoping to find new medicines. Gosh, rainforests sure have a lot of trees. Wow, look at the size of that frog. It's gigantic. This small hippopotamus is about the size of a very large pig. Its small size makes it easier for the pygmy hippo to move around in the jungle. Pygmy hippos spend most of their day resting in the water or on the riverbank. When they go underwater, they can stay there for several minutes before coming up for air. Underwater, their ears have flaps that close shut, but even then they can still hear. They can even hear sounds behind them because their ears can turn to face the back. The giant snail can grow to be as long as 12 inches and weigh over a pound. Like the mussel, the giant snail lives in a shell and moves by pulling itself along on a blobby foot. The snail carries its shell home along as it slowly glides across the jungle floor. The fat worm-like body oozes out a clear slime to make gliding over the ground easier. Its eyes, on top of two long feelers, can't see objects, but can only tell light from dark. So the snail uses its two shorter feelers to smell and feel its way through the jungle. The snail's tongue is covered with sharp, tiny teeth to scrape off the bits of leaves, fruit, flowers, and rotting plants it eats. Big feet help these birds stand on lily pads. They move from lily pad to lily pad, stopping only to look for food underneath. Lily trotters can swim, but they hardly ever do. The nests they make are flimsy coils of weeds, so some lily trotters keep their eggs underneath their wings for safety. After the eggs hatch, the baby chicks continue to stay under their parents' wings. When the chicks are big enough to take care of themselves, they finally leave their parents' protection. Nests are the houses that birds build for their babies. Most birds make their nest on tree branches. Other birds, like the parrot and hornbill, put their nest in a tree hole. And some birds, like the shoebill and bowerbird, make their nests on the ground. Nests are made of grasses, twigs, leaves, and mud. Most birds also put feathers, sawdust, or fine grass on the bottom of the nest as a soft pillow for their fragile eggs. Parrots are friendly birds that fly through the canopy in big, noisy flocks. They make many different sounds and even repeat the songs of other birds. Most parrots are green or gray, but others are more colorful, like the macaws. Parrots can hang like acrobats to get fruit, which they hold in one foot to eat. They also eat seeds and nuts, which are easily opened with their nutcracker-like beaks. When it is time to raise babies, hollow trees are their favorite places to build a nest. This bird is one of the most colorful parrots around. Their loud screeching noises, slow flapping wings, and long tails also make them easy to spot. Macaws spend their days looking for seeds, nuts, and fruits. Macaw nests are built in holes in trees, usually in the understory or canopy part of the jungle. Macaws are popular pets because they are friendly and can be trained to repeat words. Between the jungle canopy and floor is the understory layer. It is shadier here than in the canopy, but not as dark as the jungle floor below. The understory trees don't grow quite as tall as canopy trees, and there are fewer plants and epiphytes on them. Animals like the potu, slow loris, and lemurs can easily move from tree to tree in the understory. The potu bird is often mistaken for a tree branch. Its splotchy brown feathers, which look like tree bark, combined with its ability to sit for hours without moving, make the potu hard to see. Sitting next to a tree trunk, the potu is almost invisible, and most enemies can't spot it. During the day, the potu tries to sleep, but at night their eyes are open and watching, so the potu can swoop down on bugs. When sitting on a nest, the potu will sit with its face to the tree trunk, so enemies can't even spot the potu's eyes. Potus hatch one egg at a time, and each baby imitates their parents' tree-like pose. The big male gorilla on the rock is called a silverback. That's because of a streak of silver fur running down his back. Gorillas are the biggest of all the apes. Gorillas are really very gentle animals and usually scream and beat their chests only to scare enemies away. Gorillas travel together in families, searching the jungle for plants to eat. They normally stay on the floor, but will go into the understory to get a really tasty piece of fruit. If they're thirsty, they soak the fur on the back of their hand in the river and then suck the wet fur. At night, they sleep on beds made from broken tree branches. Hey, red frog? This frog's bright red color and round shape make it look like a tomato. Its brightly colored skin is a warning that the tomato frog is poisonous. If an enemy puts the tomato frog in its mouth, a poisonous white liquid gushes out of the frog's skin. The liquid tastes so bad that most attackers drop the frog and go look for food somewhere else. The weak poison doesn't kill, but enemies remember not to bite this frog again. Poisonous. In the jungle, there are seeds, plants, snakes, birds, frogs, fruit, and mushrooms that have poison in them. Poison makes people and animals very sick, and it might even kill them. But the jungle isn't the only place where dangerous items can be found. Soap, antifreeze, bleach, mushrooms, and even paint are just a few things at home that are poison. Even things that might smell or taste good can be poison. Always ask an adult before drinking or eating anything, just to be safe. When columns of army ants march across the jungle floor, the small antbird is often found nearby. In spite of their name, antbirds don't eat ants. Instead, they eat the bugs trying to get away from the army ants. Sometimes, antbirds sit on a low branch and gobble up the flying insects trying to escape. Other times, they scurry along the jungle floor after the bugs. If an antbird is brave enough to stand amongst the ants while catching bugs, it raises its tail up so the ants won't bite it. When trying to win a mate, the males will often catch bugs and offer them to the females. Marching together in long, wide rows, army ants look like a river flowing across the jungle floor. Special army ants, called soldiers, guard the ends of the rows, ready to bite enemies with their big jaws. They don't let go once they bite, so some jungle people use a soldier ant's jaws to close cuts and wounds. Army ants will attack and eat almost any creature in their path, including bugs, frogs, snakes, and lizards. Army ants won't actually eat people, but their bite can really hurt. Still, army ants can be helpful to people too. Army ants will march right into houses, attack any other bugs there, and then leave. Africa's elephants are the largest animals on land. Although they are similar, African and Asian elephants look slightly different. African elephants found in the jungle have brown tusks, a curve or dip in their back, and larger ears. African elephants fan themselves with their big ears to keep cool in the hot jungle and to blow away bugs. They can use their long trunk like a hand to pick up food from the jungle floor or pull it off understory trees. Their trunk can also suck up river water, then squirt it into their mouths or onto their backs when they want to take a bath. These elephants are a little bit smaller than the African elephant, but they still eat about the same amount of grass, leaves, and fruit as their African cousins. They're easier to train than African elephants, so natives have ridden Asian elephants instead of horses for centuries. The Asian elephant is also used in logging camps, easily moving cut trees out of the jungle. Sometimes the Asian elephants have to go across rivers, but that's not a problem. The Asian elephant is an excellent swimmer and will even hold its trunk above the water to breathe while it swims underwater. There's bound to be some interesting animals at that waterfall. Hey, what happened to the spots on that leopard over there? The monkeys with the funniest hairdos have to be the macaques. The hair on their head often looks like a hat, a bonnet, or a lion's mane. Some macaques live near rivers, beaches, or mangrove swamps because their main food is crabs. They sit along the river's edge grabbing crabs with their hands. They can even dive deep into the water chasing the crabs, because these monkeys are excellent swimmers. Monkeys are related to apes, but the two are not the same. Like apes, monkeys have eyes on the front of their head instead of on the side like many other animals do. Unlike apes, most monkeys have tails that help them balance in the trees or act as another hand. Monkey hands have thumbs, and both hands and feet are perfect for grabbing tree branches. Monkeys also have smaller brains and rounder chests than apes, and only live to be 30 years old. Howler, squirrel, spider, pygmy marmoset, mandrill, woolly, and macaque are all types of monkeys. Howler. With a red tail and the ability to run after and catch its prey, it's no wonder these snakes are named red-tailed racers. But these snakes prefer to wait for their food, lying on rocks, branches, or in caves. By wrapping their tail around rocks or trees, racers can stretch out and grab birds right out of the air. Like the python, red-tailed racers kill their food by squeezing instead of with poison. If attacked, racers puff up their body to look bigger and hopefully scare away the enemy. Pythons and anacondas are the biggest snakes in the world. Some pythons have grown to be as long as 30 feet. In spite of their size, pythons are hard to see because their brown patch skin blends in with the colors of the jungle. Pythons hunt both during the day and at night, using the tip of their tongue to smell food. Once they catch a small animal, they squeeze the life out of it and then swallow it in one big piece. A river that drops down a long way is called a waterfall. Waterfalls are found all over the world. Angel Falls is the highest waterfall in the world, plunging 3,212 feet over a rugged cliff. That's higher than the tallest skyscraper ever built. Angel Falls is really hard to get to, though, because it is deep within a very thick jungle. The tallest trees in the Asian jungle are found here in the pavilion. These monkeys were named for their long noses, which keep growing their whole lives. Not only are their noses big, but so are their bellies. Inside their bellies live small bugs to help the proboscis digest the leaves and fruits it eats. The bugs also help the monkey get rid of any poisons in the leaves. When they aren't eating or sleeping, proboscis monkeys might go down to the jungle floor for some swimming. They high dive from mangrove trees and dog paddle across rivers, ponds, or even out into the ocean. Fishing boats have rescued lost proboscis monkeys far out in the ocean. When these butterflies fly through the pavilion, people on the ground often think they are birds. That's because bird wings are the biggest butterflies in the world. From wingtip to wingtip, they can measure as much as 12 inches across. The birdwing's bright colors warn enemies that they are not good to eat. The birdwing also eats plants that make them smell and taste so bad that few animals want to eat them. The mosquito lives any place where it's warm and wet. The humming sound of the mosquito is made by its wings moving 1,000 times each second. As the sun goes down, mosquitoes fly around and eat the sweet juice from flowers. But female mosquitoes also bite people and animals, needing the blood to make their eggs. The female mosquito lays her eggs anywhere she can find water, even in puddles and buckets. As she sucks the blood out of an arm or leg, the mosquito's spit mixes with the blood. When the mosquito flies away, the spit left behind causes the swollen, itchy bump called a mosquito bite. The spit also has germs in it, which can make people sick. Hey, somebody better tell those fish to get back into the water. Slow loris. The slow loris moves as slow as a sloth, but it's really a lemur. The loris hangs from a branch during the day, sleeping with its head tucked between its feet. At night, the slow loris moves through the understory trees in search of food. It's not a fussy eater, eating anything from fruit to leaves to smaller animals. After a meal, it goes back to resting, or cleans itself with its comb-like front teeth. This reptile is one of the world's biggest lizards, growing up to 10 feet long. Because they are so big, Komodos are sometimes called the land crocodile. Although they stand low to the ground, Komodo dragons can attack animals as big as a tapir. Komodos use their long, thick tail to knock away other animals trying to get at their food. After eating a big meal, a Komodo dragon will be full for days and spend its time just lying in the sun.